In the endless architecture of hell, suffering was not chaos, it was order. Every scream, every plea, every broken soul followed a design older than memory. At the center of one such design stood Pinhead, high priest of pain, once a man, now something far more precise. To him, agony was not cruelty, it was revelation. Flesh was a veil, and pain was the knife that cut it away. For centuries uncounted, he had answered the call of the lament configuration, the puzzle box that beckoned those who desired experiences beyond mortal sensation. Those who opened it asked for pleasure. What they received was truth in its most unbearable form. But on this occasion, something unprecedented occurred. The box opened itself. No trembling hands, no desperate seeker, no summoning ritual. It unfolded in the air like a mechanical flower, its golden panels clicking into impossible geometries. Chains rattled into existence, hooks poised, ready to claim a soul. Nothing came. Instead, the chamber filled with a presence that did not belong to hell. Not this hell. The shadows bent backward, as if refusing to touch the figure that emerged. No chains answered. No screams accompanied him. Only silence and authority. Lucifer Morningstar, the Lightbringer, the first rebel, stepped forward with calm amusement, as though he had merely walked into a drawing room rather than a dominion of torment. Pinhead regarded him without fear. Fear was for the uninitiated. Who summons us? The Cenobite intoned, voice like iron dragged across stone. Lucifer smiled, not warmly, but knowingly. No one summons me, he said softly. I was curious. Curiosity. Such a fragile human word. Yet the power behind it pressed against the walls of the labyrinth, causing the very geometry of hell to shudder. Pinhead stepped forward, chains slithering like obedient serpents. This realm is not yours. Lucifer tilted his head. On the contrary, all hells are, in some fashion, my former properties. It was not arrogance, it was simple fact. For a moment that could not be measured by time, the two beings studied one another. One an architect of suffering born from human corruption, the other a cosmic intelligence who had ruled over damnation before abandoning it out of sheer boredom. Pinhead sensed no pain in Lucifer, no guilt, no hidden wounds to exploit. It was as though the being before him had transcended the very mechanisms upon which hell functioned. You do not belong to desire, Pinhead observed. Lucifer's eyes glimmered like dying stars. Oh, I assure you, I am desire. I simply no longer need to suffer for it. The labyrinth groaned, distant corridors folded, reshaping themselves in response to the impossible guest. Lesser Cenobites withdrew into the walls like insects fleeing a flame. Pinhead understood then, this was not a petitioner, this was a disruption. Why are you here? He demanded. Lucifer's smile widened just enough to reveal something dangerous behind the charm. I heard rumors, he said. Stories of priests who confuse agony with transcendence, of creatures who believe they rule hell. The chains around Pinhead tensed, vibrating with restrained violence. And you have come to judge us. Lucifer stepped closer. Each footfall extinguished the ambient firelight, replacing it with a pale celestial glow that did not warm. No, he said quietly. I've come to see whether you're interesting. For the first time in centuries, something like anticipation stirred within Pinhead. Not fear, not rage, but the recognition of a being who might actually understand the depths he administered, or surpass them. The puzzle box snapped shut behind Lucifer with a sound like a coffin ceiling. No summoning, no escape. Only two sovereigns of damnation standing face to face, each representing a different philosophy of suffering, one born from cosmic rebellion, the other from humanity's darkest appetites. Pinhead raised a hand. Chains rose like a storm of razors. If you seek experience, he declared, we will provide it. Lucifer's eyes ignited with ancient fire. I was hoping you'd say that. Far above them, or perhaps below, or outside reality entirely, something vast took notice. Not heaven, not hell, something older than both. Because when torment meets its creator, the result is not suffering, it is war. Chains struck first. They did not fly. They manifested, erupting from every surface of the labyrinth in a storm of hooked steel. Each link carried the weight of countless torments, each barb forged to tear not only flesh but memory, identity, and soul. This was the full authority of Pinhead, unleashed without restraint. They wrapped around Lucifer Morningstar. In an instant, hooks pierced his chest, shoulders, throat, even his shadow. The air rang with the sound of tightening metal as the chains pulled in opposite directions, enough force to rend titans into fragments. Entire civilizations had been reduced to screaming echoes by less. Lucifer did not scream. He looked down at the hooks embedded in him with mild curiosity, as one might examine rain on a coat. "How nostalgic," he murmured. Pinhead's black eyes narrowed. With a gesture, the chains pulled harder. Reality itself creaked. The labyrinth expanded to accommodate the strain, corridors splitting like bone under pressure. Still Lucifer stood. Then, with a simple exhale, the hooks slid out of him, as if his body had forgotten how to be solid. No wound remained. No blood fell. The chains dropped uselessly to the floor, clattering like discarded toys. Pain required vulnerability. Lucifer had none. Pinhead raised both hands. The labyrinth obeyed, walls folded inward, becoming a crushing cathedral of blades. Floors turned to grasping fingers. The air thickened into something that sliced with every breath. This was not mere attack. It was total environmental domination. Hell itself weaponized. "Your flesh denies us," Pinhead declared. "Then we will take your essence." A colossal mechanism emerged behind him. A vast rotating configuration of gold and bone, an impossible extension of the lament configuration. Its turning emitted a sound like eternity grinding its teeth. Hooks of light, not metal, shot forth, aimed not at Lucifer's body, but at his being. They struck. For the first time, Lucifer's smile faded. The hooks pulled, and something vast responded. Not pain, not resistance, simply presence. The lines went taut, vibrating violently, as if they had harpooned a star. Pinhead pushed further, channeling the accumulated suffering of every soul his order had ever harvested. The labyrinth howled, lesser Cenobites disintegrated from the strain. Dimensions peeled open like paper. No ecstasy, Pinhead intoned. No oblivion. Lucifer finally moved, not violently, not dramatically. He stepped forward. Every hook snapped. The massive configuration behind Pinhead shattered into silent fragments that dissolved before touching the ground. The oppressive weight of hell lifted, replaced by a calm so absolute it was terrifying. Lucifer stood inches away from the Cenobite priest. "You mistake cruelty for depth," he said softly. "Pain is merely a door. I am what lies beyond it." Pinhead attempted one final command. Chains trembled, but did not rise. The labyrinth hesitated, as if unsure whom to obey. Lucifer placed 2 fingers gently against Pinhead's forehead, between the grid of nails. No explosion, no spectacle. Light, pure, dawn-like, spread through the Cenobite's body. For a fleeting instant, the thing called Pinhead flickered, and beneath it was the man he had once been. Confusion replaced authority. Silence replaced doctrine. Then even that vanished. Pinhead did not die. Death would have been merciful. Instead, the mechanisms that sustained his existence simply stopped recognizing him. Chains fell slack. The labyrinth withdrew. The high priest of pain stood powerless, stripped of the system that defined him. Lucifer stepped back, expression almost sympathetic. "You built a kingdom inside a cage," he said. "I built cages." With a casual motion, he closed his hand. Lucifer turned away, already bored. As he walked, a doorway of soft radiance opened, where no door had existed before. "Do try to be more imaginative," he added, without looking back. Eternity is a long time to repeat oneself.